MasterCWelch here. I'm sitting down for podcast episode 2 with SegaCDUniverse, also known as Vampire Mike. How you doing?
Hey, Master Welch, thanks for having me. I'm pretty good.
So I guess what's your channel on YouTube, Twitch, or what other social media platform?
I mainly use YouTube and I guess it would be Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and it's all under Sega CD Universe.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I'm curious, when I see your introductioning on your channel, it shows the Sega CD Willie Beamish track. Did you actually license that track or how does that work?
No, I've always used the logo. I have like an old website that's on Angel Fire, and I always use the logo. So I just downloaded the logo and cleaned it up a little bit, and then I just took the Willie Beamish song and I put like 10 seconds of it. I was like, I don't know that someone's running around online looking to flag people for using 10-second video game songs from 30 years ago, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I was just always curious about that. I know like from what I follow on your uh other social media that you just put some funny content up. So I just thought that was
Yeah.
kind of funny because I noticed it said licensed by or something. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was
uh
just a joke that I put up.
so do you mind if I call you Mike? Is that fine? Or
Yeah, no,
Vampire
of
Mike?
course, yeah, Mike is fine. We've known each
Okay.
other how long now? A decade?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about that I started chatting at least with you and AJ and just kind of following you guys as retro was starting to kind of get a little blown up in the YouTube factor. And I know you guys had works that was prior to the big blow up of it all. And I find it cool talking to guys that were kind of definitely in the forefront of everything that has happened with social media and retro and how it's blown up into this big thing. And um I just thought your guys' content was really good for the early years of it all, and, it still is. Unfortunately, AJ isn't doing anything with it anymore, but, kinda curious, so when did you start gaming?
I appreciate you the comments, by the way, thank you. I started playing video games probably when I was about 6, maybe 5. I started with, the original Nintendo at my, grandparents' house.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I would have never guessed that, man. I thought you were always a Sega kid, but that's cool. I mean, it's what it was, Sega kids or Nintendo kids, and I was a Sega kid because that's what our parents bought us. It wasn't not so much of a choice back then for the people not making the purchases, and you just got what you got, and any day anymore, it seems like everyone get started right with what they wanna get into right away because, obviously, it's the popular opinion of what's best?
Yeah, I think, I was never obviously, my name is Sega CD Universe, so I'm partial towards the Saturn, the Dreamcast, and the Sega CD, but I grew up a lot on the Super Nintendo and the original NES. I played a ton of RPGs on the Super Nintendo. It was one of my favorite systems, so it really depends, I guess, on what genre, I feel like playing.
And that's really cool, man, because when I think about it all, I would go to friends' houses, and they would have NES or Super Nintendo most of the time. I think I was the only me and one other guy that went to school together had Segas, and everybody else had the Nintendo platforms. And it was always cool to watch them play, games like, Final Fantasy and, sitting down and playing Mario with them and playing, like, F-Zero. I think F-Zero is one of my favorite, Super NES games just because I really like the music and the scaling they did and the action of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to, find out what people were playing and what they started out on. So, as I've followed you over the years and, watched your videos, there's been mention of you worked at a GameStop. How
Yeah.
so, I guess, so you did work at a GameStop. So how was the culture around gaming at that time, and what was the popular platforms of that time?
Um, so I was in GameStop. I think I had just turned 18 or I was about to turn 18. And I left when I was 21, I wanna say. But it was on and off. So, like, I worked there for, let's say, a year and a half, 2 years. I quit for a little while, and then I came back after, I don't know, 4 to 6 months, and then I stayed there a little longer, and then I eventually left. The main consoles that were out when I started were, I wanna say the main one was the original Xbox and PS2, was it? I remember this because they had a contest, and it was whoever can get the most subscriptions to Game Informer would win an Xbox that the manager got at a conference. So, I ended up, finagling my way through subscriptions and, getting an Xbox with, I think ToeJam and Earl 3 was the game I picked, if I recall.
Dang, dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's a good time to have worked at GameStop too, because as time went on in my life, that era of gaming, I think, was the most impactful for me, just because of the new, coming out of the PS1 style graphics, which brought, new gameplay experiences that really were outstanding. And the
And
PS2 really ramped that up and made everything smoother, and the graphics looked more intense, and Xbox as well. When Xbox came out, after the PS2 had already been out for a little bit, the gaming was just it was definitely it felt like a new generation of gameplay. And when I heard ToeJam and the Earl 3 was coming out on the Xbox, I was like, "I want one of those," and, it was actually a Christmas gift for me. It might have been out maybe a year, maybe it wasn't even out a year at that point, but I'd gotten one for Christmas, and I remember ToeJam and Earl 3 was one of my very first purchases as soon as I could grab it. So yeah, that was a great, great time, man. Like, what was the culture? Like, how were the people that went into the game store? Like, were they cool and all kinds of different ages? And, like, what did it look like versus what they at least like to depict the average GameStop gamer to be now?
yeah, to go backwards for one moment, you just triggered a memory. I actually think the first game I chose or that came with the system was with the Xbox. I had one was, I wanna say it was like Conflict Desert Storm or some kind of like Rainbow Sixy type of game, and then I returned it and got ToeJam and Earl. I think that's what happened. Because I was like, I'm not really a big military guy." I was like, I'm like, "Let me return this," and I really want ToeJam and Earl 3. But anyway, I digress. The culture there, I mean, you had a lot of, and I'd cover this in my GameStop videos I had done on my channel. You have a lot of strange people and frequent people that would come in that you could tell had mental issues that would kinda hang around the mall all day, because it was in a mall. That's a dead mall now, it's closed. And then you had, normal regulars that would come in that you'd hook up with deals or you'd give them a discount or you'd help their kids with picking out a game, and they were, like, very friendly, they knew you by name. And so overall, I would say, uh, maybe 80% or 90% of the time, you'd have, good clientele and fun people that would come in and, chat with you about video games. And at the time, I got friends and girlfriends and all kinds of different people in my life by working there, so it was a good experience overall.
Dude, that's that is so awesome, man. Like, it's amazing to think, like, back in that era of time, going to a job, you would most definitely end up with a girlfriend through the job. 'Cause, I sure as heck did on a few jobs, and, like,
Right.
making the friends through those kinda jobs. And, like, I can imagine making the friends through that kinda job was just awesome because they were into gaming. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
you definitely did you run into a lot of temptation working there?
Um, speaking of friends, I still keep in touch with most of them, I would say 90% of them, and it was funny at the time, Xbox was sort of the big thing online, so I loved playing online with my friends, so we would work together all day, and then at the end of the night, we'd stay up till 2 in the morning playing, like, Xbox games, say, like Tetris and Link's Golf and all kinds of shooters and Halo, and so it was just a great, like you said, great point in time that sort of exists but doesn't at this point. In terms of temptation, what kind of temptation are you referring to?
Oh, just, seeing stuff and like, man, I need to have that, like shopping as you work, type thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess so, that would happen. I get deals sometimes where people would go to trade something and it wasn't worth anything, and I would just give them the dollar or 2 and keep it myself. Um, trying to think, I had at one point, I regret it, I got rid of it, but I had a huge Dreamcast collection of, I wanna say it was over 100 games, but I was buying a lot of just games that were there because I didn't have them, and I was like, "Well, what am I gonna start getting every single Dreamcast game? I did it with the Sega CD, why am I doing it again?" So I ended up selling everything, um, and then I rebought a Dreamcast eventually and really narrowed down to, "These are the games I want," and I'm more specific about what I purchase nowadays.
That's an interesting topic too, and like I don't want to get too far off what we have planned here, but definitely I am trying to complete a complete US Sega CD set, and I'm also very deep into the Mega Drive CD set,
Mhm.
and I I'm just like reaching this plateau of like losing a little bit of fun with the hobby, but I'm also thinking, man, you could just narrow this down and just stick right to the meat and potatoes of everything that you really liked or really like, 'Cause, I
Mhm.
mean, in reality, I never had a Sega CD growing up. I had Genesis, and, we ended up having Sega Channel for a few years, and,
Oh,
my
that's
mom
cool.
worked in cables, so it was really cool because we got to test it in the early days, and, probably about a week before its launch, we were testing the system with the cable company, and, um but anyways, looking at the Sega CD era, come to find out, talking with mom and dad about a little bit about gaming history because they knew I was into it, I was kind of a nerd, and my brother thought I was, just because of how big I was attached to it, uh the Sega CD was something they were gonna buy us, they were looking at it as a gift, but they ultimately they never did, in which I'm kinda glad, honestly, after playing some of the games. You might have made some bad purchases or, asked for some gifting of some games that would have really disappointed, I feel, but, I feel that, after going through so much work with the Sega CD and actually getting all the games, I'm down to just probably a dozen, and it's mostly sports titles at this point and one big hitter, which is KO, and, I have the rest, and, there's another, I would say, mid-tier title in there that, what is that? Fatal Fury Extended or Fatal Fury Special or something. That one's about a mid-tier, in which I feel like the pricing of some of those games is absolutely ridiculous, but,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's my experience with, the Sega CD stuff, and, uh, I'm glad that, to hear from somebody else who actually got into this collecting and came to their senses a little bit. I'm about there, so.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun console and has its share of gems, so that's cool.
Um, so I seen that, over time, AJ Rosa, who, had his own YouTube channel going on there for a while, and I thought it was really cool that, you guys had that crossover, so, um, I guess, like, to start from there, when you started up your YouTube channel, what was your goals? And if any, how did you meet up with AJ?
So, I started a website, like I said, on Angel Fire years ago, and that's where the name came from, and I just kinda kept it, I ran with it. Um, in regards to what I was looking for, initially, it was just a Sega CD-based YouTube channel and a Sega CD-based webpage, and I eventually branched out into more games and then movies that just talk about because I said to myself, "I'm limiting myself." There's, I think it's whatever, 210 Sega CD games. I've talked about the ones I really like, horror games or FMV games, etcetera. What am I gonna do now? Like, I can't just only talk about Sega CD games. So that's sort of how it started and then adapted into just me sort of chatting on the couch with you like a buddy and just discussing things I enjoy or don't enjoy. Mainly enjoy. I try to be pretty positive on the channel. Um, but that was it. It was really just a way to communicate and meet like-minded people, which I've made so many friends, yourself included, on YouTube over the years that it's astounding that I talk to you, fairly regularly. In regards to AJ himself, him and I are still good friends. We keep in touch from time to time with a text or a message. I'm friendly with his wife as well. Um, we met, I think, because at the time the community on YouTube was very close knit. Like every YouTuber who did video game stuff sort of knew each other. And if you weren't friends with them, they were friends with someone else you knew. And I was just a fan of his channel. I enjoyed his content and how much production value he put into it, which is humorous because I don't put any production value into mine, as you can tell. And we hit it off and we talked. And I think I mailed him a couple things at one point, and then he mailed me some stuff once or twice. Then he said, "Oh, you want to be on a video?" And I said, "Sure." And that's sort of how it, um, transformed into that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. What was the name of that one? Was that The Mind's Eye? Or gosh, he did like a series of 3 of them. And, I think they're awesome. I go back and watch them every now and then, and I've even talked to AJ, in the background, and I was like, "Man, dude, like, you gotta revive that," but I guess, some stuff has changed, and, that's, I think he was really onto something, and I know that he press some VCDs of that too? I mean, I would love to have the VCD of that, man.
He did. I'm pretty sure I want to say I have a VCD and a DVD.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's so cool, man. Like, it's actually inspired me, and I've talked to him a little bit about, coming up with a show to do like that and to release for a retro console, make it work. It's a very long, laborious, plan, and I feel like I need to take some sort of action on it. If you look on my channel when I first uploaded, it was probably a couple years ago, I did a little short. It was like kind of like a Halloween short, and I was messing around with special effects and things like that. Like it's really corny, but uh, I would like to try to do a short little movie, and I've talked to AJ about that, and he's talked about how to go about filming and whatnot. And after watching his, uh, his horror movies that he's made, which are great. I have them on, what is it? The Dark Pictures, or I know this is terrible not having it in the names of them on my notes here, but I bought his VHS, and, I'm really hoping he does another one, but, I would like to do a little short skit like that sometime and, just kinda tie it into gaming, but, you gotta kinda worry about that stuff anymore today too because of the copyright stuff, they might throw a fit anymore.
Mhm.
But, yeah, so when you guys shot that, did you do any of the editing? Because I always find that interesting. You made that scene in the Sega 32X and, like, talked about how much teraflops and with the C the C yeah, CDX 32, like, is that even a real thing? Can you even attach the 2 together, and does it have that much power?
I it's funny. I'm pretty sure AJ sent me like a script and he said, "Listen, here are your few lines. Just film yourself as best as you can and send it to me." He edited it. He did all the dithering and all that stuff. and then, I think he made up the comment, but yes, you can there are certain Sega CD 32X games that are purely for Sega CD and 32X together. Um, Surgical Strike was one in Brazil. Another one was Slam City with Scottie Pippen. You have to buy the specific disc that says Sega 32X CD. If you don't, it
Okay.
will just play the Sega CD version.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure I have all those. You know, that's one I might need to look over again real quick. I might still need to grab one of those, CD32s, games. I think it might be, um, Supreme Warrior. I might not
Mhm.
have that on CD32. I actually got into just buying those up quick, so I might have them. But, the one that I always found interesting was, Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah, that's
Um,
a cool one. That's a cool one.
I myself, you know, I do fire and, wildland fire. I've done it for 20 some years, and, I'm looking at getting out of that, and I've been volunteering at a structure, VFD structure unit, EMS, and, that's kind of, when I I was doing that, I did a live fire training where we were actually put in a scenario where we were in a metal connex and they lit a bunch of stuff up inside it and had us experience a blast of extreme heat, you know, and we were in our gear and stuff, and we were in 1,000 degrees in there.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, 1,000 degrees, and, like, um, I think on that Fahrenheit CD32, I'm like, "Dude," you know, it just a little campy, you know, when you really look at the reality of it, but, and the seriousness, you know, I mean, it was just good game, good game.
Yeah, definitely. That's, one of those ones that's, I think, overlooked that's actually a pretty good title.
Yeah, they did good on the video in that one for sure. So, um, so you mentioned you collect movies.
Yes.
So when you collect movies, like what is your favorite genres, you know, and why are you into that? Or do you just collect, you know, quality or directors, or how do you do it?
I try now to be a little more, just like with the Dreamcast, I try to be a little more selective. It really depends. I mean, it can be because of actors I like. I'm a Corey Haim fan, a Corey Feldman fan. Keanu Reeves I like. Um, there's a bunch of actresses I like as well. But usually it's, I guess, director based or genre. I like horror a lot, so I watch a lot of like B movies and cheesy horror. I really love cyberpunk stuff, so like the cyberpunk genre, movies like Johnny Mnemonic and Nirvana with Chris Lambert. That's one of my favorites. Both of those are actually. Um, I, I'm I'll kind of watch anything. I'm not big on the blockbuster hits, like, if you were to say, like, "Oh, like, I love Titanic," or The Notebook or something, like, the love stories don't do it for me, and I'm not into the, like, mainstream Hollywood stuff. When I like things that are a little more underground, that have heart, that are, maybe lower budget or even, like, C or D tier, but they've got heart in them, and I always appreciate when things have heart. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm into movies too, and I collect to a point, I guess. I'm not like going out looking for movies, but sometimes I'll go through a little phase and I'll buy up a bunch of movies. And I think the last batch of Blu-rays that I bought the Beetlejuice one on 4K, the sequel to Beetlejuice on 4K. And then I bought I think Sonic 3 because I hadn't had that one yet. And Resident Evil, um none of the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil, that other one that came out, and which I thought was really good myself.
Raccoon City?
And yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
I
like that one a lot, actually.
yeah, I feel like that's a little underrated. I think it's a really good, direction for Resident Evil, and, I'm hoping that this new director with, you know, it sounds like he kinda has the blessing from Capcom, really comes up
Mhm.
with something amazing. But, I collect sci-fi, horror, like actually, I take that back. The most recent pickup I just got was probably 2 weeks ago. It's the Shout Factory, Friday the 13th box set.
Oh, cool.
I found it at, I found it at a pawn shop, and, they're discontinuing that box set too. I guess you could have picked it up at Walmart even at one time, but I think it was at least $200. It sounded like it might even been 300 at one point, but, I got it for 89 bucks and it's in mint condition, and come to find out that there was some, factory errors with the transfer, like on the Friday the 13th, 3D. There was something wrong with it, and there was something wrong with one of the other discs. Well, did a little research, and get the old cell phone out and look at all that little stamping along the edge of the disc, and luckily, I got one of the newer, reprints, so I was glad to see that. I was like, "Man, I hope I don't have a defective set,"
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
it didn't. Because I guess what Shout Factory did is to mitigate that is they included, reprinted discs just along with the set in white envelopes, and, I mean, that fixes the problem, but, I didn't want any of that.
Right, well, it's good you got one that was all updated.
Do you know on that set too? Because I seen, like, you post some of, like, the Vinegar Syndrome and these other, companies that do these, B-side releases. Did they ever do, like, a Freddy Krueger set like that, do you know?
There's an old Blu-ray set I have. I don't think I have the Shout Factory sets of either of those. I think I have, like, an 8-movie collection for the Friday the 13th, and then I subsidized it with Blu-rays that I was missing. Um, in terms of the Freddy one, again, I think it was just like a Nightmare on Elm Street box set I had, but it's not, like, any kind of special. Who made Nightmare on Elm Street? Was it MGM or Universal? Warner Home Video. So my Blu-ray set is like a 5-disc set put out by Warner. It was probably 20 bucks, you know? I usually don't go that crazy with, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've gotten into, like, getting those some of these supposedly definitive box sets. Like, I don't even have any Nightmare on Elm Street, movies. Friday the 13th, I mean, I was watching that with my mom growing up, I was not even of the age to be watching that, and, we had cable, but she would let me stay up and watch it with her, and she would say, "Cover your eyes," so I would cover my eyes at certain points, but, it was just funny, like, I watched a lot of different movies growing up, like Hardware, stuff I really probably shouldn't have been watching as a, early teen, and, I watched pretty much all the movies of that era, through pay-per-view. I mean, we had it free, so it was it was a cool time, man, like, you'll never see anything like that ever again, when it comes to media, not even being an employee. There's no way that they would even let you have that for free now.
Yep. Yeah, I love Hardware. I think Richard Stanley he's one of my favorite directors, and I think he's so underrated and, underappreciated.
See, the ending to Hardware, man, that always had me thinking that you know how that robot injects him?
Mhm.
That it was a reference to, like a drug overdose, you know?
Yeah.
When he injects him versus just, like, killing him, it was almost like a reference to a drug overdose.
Uh-huh.
I feel like. But, I don't know. Cool movie. Cool movie. I mean, they don't even make sci-fi like that anymore, like, a mechanical robot coming to get you and actually making a prop for it, if they gotta make a prop anymore, it's gonna be some sort of rig setup on a green screen, and then they'll patch it in, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's, definitely a different time, and movies, I feel, are just like games, you know? There was a big artistic vision, they put a lotta, process into creating that vision with a, good soundtrack on the side, good props, acting that, was fun for the actors to actually be a part of, it seemed like with a lot of the sets. You hear about the drama these days, it don't sound like it's as good an experience, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, something is kind of lost, nowadays, and everything is just so, I don't know, kind of overdone.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So, I guess what are you have any other hobbies? What's your other hobbies?
Let me think, video games, movies, I read very, very little, not as much as I would have liked. I can't focus as well as I used to, so I don't read too much, a little bit here and there. What else am I into? I'm a pretty simple person, honestly. I would have said coffee about 2 years ago was a big hobby of mine, but I don't drink coffee anymore. I stopped. Um, yeah, I guess it's mainly video games and movies. I'm not like a very hands-on kind of handy person, so I can't like some people I'm so envious of. They fix stuff around their house like it's nothing. I tend to over tighten screws and just overdo things and make things worse, you know?
You look like you work out, man. You still working out?
No, I work out, I do push-ups a few days a week. I used to train more often, but we have a almost 5-year-old, and it's just hard in the morning. He gets up, like, every day around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I do some push-ups with him. He even started doing them, and then I just move on with my day because between that and work and trying to, schedule everything we have to do, it's hard, but I used to train, 3 days a week, maybe 4. So I will get back into it eventually.
Yeah, life happens, man, that's for sure. I got 2 kids myself, and they're young adults now, and it's just hard to believe that, shoot, when I even started watching, you on YouTube that, they were a lot younger, you know?
Right.
So, it's, amazing to see how time's been flying. Um, so are you what system are you playing right now the most when it comes to gaming?
So I know this would be sacrilege, but I've always been a big Xbox guy. Um, I am playing the remastered version of Alan Wake. Um, Even though I've beaten it many years ago, I went back to it because I beat the second one, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. So I ended up going back to it and I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I just also beat South Park Fractured Butthole. That was very fun. And the Lunar series I just beat as well, the remastered versions.
Yeah, yeah, you put a video up on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to put up things, that that are I'm playing currently so my mind is there at the same time, you know?
Yeah, yeah, good plan there. Uh, I've been into Streets of Rage myself lately.
Oh, I love Streets of Rage. That's a great series.
Yeah, I actually picked up the SMS versions, which I played, backups of them before and thought they were interesting, and, just looking at the history of the game itself, I thought that, yeah, I wanna add that, I'm never gonna try to go for a complete, uh, world set of SMS. And that's the thing too, I almost have a complete US set of SMS. I just need Buster Douglas, and I gotta clean up a couple, um, other titles, like, come to find out as I'd been collecting, I had actually picked up the EU copy of Alex the Kid Shinobi World, and I think one of them's missing a manual, and then a couple might need those little sleeves for the cards, in which, talking about when we were talking prior about thinning out or more projected purchases, I'm just like, man, Master System's cool. I grew up with it, but I'm just also kind of reaching that point where I just would like to get it completed so I could say I did it and then figure it out from there, you know?
That was one system that I think I knew one person with it, and it was way after the system was dead, and, I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah, I mean, when I really look at it, it's more of a nostalgia system for me because of my mom. That's, my roots started gaming with her on that system.
Mhm.
And, uh, I hold on to that and I feel like I let myself, uh, get tied into that thought too much and thinking I needed to buy everything because, in reality, my dad, I went and visited him, uh, uh, last fall and he gave me our master system that, it might even have been the visit before that, I don't remember. I think it was last fall, but I'd left it in a bin. Dad gave me the master system, the Genesis, all the games, stuff like that, and I actually just got it out, cleaned it, got it serviced, had the RF removed and put in a S-Video mod, and, the S-Video actually is a pretty good mod because it takes away the jail bars.
Oh,
Like, when
yeah.
you're playing the game on a big screen anymore, you can see these lines going, vertical, straight up and down.
Mhm.
So, the S-Video actually minimizes that effect and takes it out of there, and, yeah, now I'm ranting, but but I have, all the games that we played growing up, and it's like, why did I need more? I suppose maybe just curiosity and, wanting more of those kind of games growing up, I suppose. But,
I hear you, I hear you.
so, you know, how do you feel about gaming in the last couple of console generations? How do you feel about that? Like how it's gone?
There are certain things I like, and then there are other things I really dislike. I will say that I'm not a fan of digital content at all, so I hate how everything is moving to a digital realm and physical media is dying because I like to hold tangible products in my hand and to now say, "Oh, you know, there's no more tangible items," or whatnot. I just not my thing. I still buy physical media primarily. I don't buy digital unless I have, like, some kind of, um, points or something towards something that I get. I'm not a fan of where it's going, and I don't like that everything is like, "Oh, you have the disc, but it's a key, and you're just unlocking stuff." I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, I find that to be very, concerning. Like, I was just playing Double Dragon Gaiden for the PS5, recently,
Mhm.
and it sits in my mind, I'm like, "Man, that's an awesome game. It's a great game." I'd like to, dust that off 20 years from now and play it, but Y is it gonna be gone because it's not actually on the disc? That's just what's scary to think about.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
It stinks. It's going in a direction I don't like, and then, with Microsoft, um, like, even Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2 got remade, and I was very excited, and they didn't put it out on disc, and I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna buy it digitally." I mean, I understand most people do, but it just I don't own it then, I can't replay it anytime I want, and what happens if I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. I don't like the whole licensing things.
yeah. What system were you looking for Silent Hill 2 on?
I have a Series X, and I guess this generation, I probably should have went with a PlayStation, I presume, because they seem to get
Y
way more physical media.
yeah, and I mean, looking at what just happened with Microsoft, I mean, that's obviously, you know, part of it, dude. I feel like this could be the end of, Xbox as we know it, from a gaming to an AI powered system altogether.
Mhm.
That's kinda kinda sad. You look at the early days of Microsoft, it was fun and that, and it just I feel as soon as they came out with that first system called Xbox One, where they spelled it out,
Yeah.
it was the end. it was the end there.
Yeah, I think they dropped the ball with that, and then um, they dropped the ball with the Series X to an extent. I mean, they just went in very weird directions. So,
So I guess, ultimately, do you feel retro will hold up in the long run?
I think there'll always be a time and a place for retro. Yeah, I could see that. Um, and I have such a backlog of current and retro games that, I'll be busy forever, so
Right. Right, yeah, that's about where I'm at until, the possibility of one day is just saying I'm moving on. I've thought about, I don't know, man, getting a camper. I like camping. I like getting out in the woods. I just don't do it enough. I do it a lot during the summers when I'm out on fires. I'm camping out in the woods, and there's only so much joy to that because I'm actually working. You're
Mhm.
basically in a camp, and it's not the same. When I first started doing that job, we'd show up with a couple crews to go work a fire, and we'd be, like, in the wild. We wouldn't even have these huge set up compound camps. It would be just in the wild, your tent down, bears could get you, waking up to squirrels chittering. I mean, and anymore, it's just not like that. It's very managed, like some sort of camp, and like I feel like that's taken the joy out of, the experience of it all. And you see a lot of interesting stuff, but just doesn't seem like it comes in the same when you're not actually being in it anymore. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's been good chatting with you, man. Like, do you have anything else that, anything you want to ask me? Anything you'd like to add or
I actually find it interesting that you're such a big fan of the, Sega Master System. I always thought it was an intriguing console, and I had a friend couple times say, "Oh, I have a spare system. I'm gonna mail it to you. I'm gonna mail it to you," and he never did. I think he's a very busy person, and he doesn't live close, obviously, because he's mailing it. Um, but that's one console I always kinda wanted to mess with. What would you say is your favorite game on Saturn, Dreamcast, and Genesis? Do you have one of each?
for Saturn?
Mhm.
Uh yeah, and I have an extensive Saturn. It's a good thing you brought that up because I don't really talk about that, and I should. I would say Saturn, man, that's a tough one. I was a real big, huge fan of Shining Force series, so I got it on Sega CD or Saturn, and it's not my favorite. Surprisingly, it is not my favorite. I would have to say it's probably, oh man, probably Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Okay. I have the
For an
Japanese version.
RPG.
Mhm.
Yeah, for an RPG, yeah, it's got to be Panzer Dragoon Saga. And then for a non-RPG, oh man, that's tough, dude. Like there's a lot of good games on there. Uh the one that I wish I could really wrap my head around is Burning Rangers.
Oh, yeah, I
Burning
have that
Rangers.
Japanese version as well. I have a lotta Japanese imports because of the price difference, even though I probably can't understand most of them, you know?
Yeah, and I have a ton of Japanese imports too. And I guess like from an American standpoint is what I'm thinking about. But when it comes to some of the Japanese stuff that's very playable, like all the Ving Taito titles. Oh man, it's there's just like an endless amount of games that you can get for it. Uh, I I mean, what did they release? Like 700 games in Japan
The
for
Sa
it?
Yeah, the Saturn is so underrated. Um, as a kid, I didn't really know anyone who had one. I knew one person through someone, and I never played it until many years later, and it just has a great library in Japan, it really does.
Yeah, it's Man, yeah. Some of these translation projects that have came out, like, what's this one, Kingdom Grand Prix or something like that?
Mhm.
Um, that is a really cool it's shmup mixed with uh, a racing game, and, it's a cool game. Like, do you follow, Sega Saturn, Shiro, that group?
I do. I tend to focus more on reviews, Easter egg videos, little clips and stuff. So when it comes, well, not clips, but I guess I should say reviews and things where people talk about games. But when they just do a podcast with the people, I tend to not watch as much, like people sitting down at a table talking type of thing.
Right, right, and, I fall more into the, sitting back and looking at the news that they put out, and,
Mhm.
they really have the ups on those translations, and, the I that's how I found a lot of the translation games, and, it's just an amazing experience, that they're still even coming out with, new experiences to play on the Saturn by the translation process, at least for the American market, and, but yeah, I could rant about Saturn for a while, I think, and you had a question on, like, the Genesis. Um, I feel the Genesis oh, man, I really liked Phantasy Star 4. I really liked, the Shining Force games. I was huge into Streets of Rage, Golden Axe. I would man, I would have to say probably Streets of Rage 2, just because I can sit down, pop that in, play it at any moment, get a feeling of challenge out of it. As long as you're not playing it over and over, then you know the entire game. But, if you broke it out maybe once or twice in a quarter, it would be a fun playthrough right there. It takes enough of your time to get a gaming fix in, and then, just take in the story, the characters, and, it doesn't seem like there's much story to it, but, Streets of Rage, when you kinda read about it, and if, if you I think of, like, uh, a dystopian future with that game, that we're not there yet, even though it seems like it's set back in the '80s, you know?
Right, right, right. I know what you're saying.
'Cause shoot, even with, just playing Streets of Rage 1 the other day on the Master System, and it was funny because even with the continue process, I made it to Mr. X, and I got smoked by Mr. X. It's interesting how it ends because the screen just kind of fades out with these blocks and says "game over," and you're just like, "Damn it," you know? But the story itself is the same story, the syndicate is a big corporation conglomerate that's hired all these people to be, you know, their minions, and, it's very much a futuristic scenario, you know?
Right, right. How about
So
For
what game
Dreamcast?
what
Any favorite Dreamcast titles?
Oh, definitely Sonic Adventure right off the bat, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
I have a few Dreamcast games. I actually just picked up Crazy Taxi 2 the other day. I might even actually have that one. I just didn't think I had it yet. So I picked it up, found it for a good price. But yeah, I would say Sonic Adventure. I remember playing that on a friend's Dreamcast. He loaned it to me. I didn't have a Dreamcast right away at launch. Um, and he loaned it to me, and I was playing that Sonic Adventure, and man, just a cool game, and I never beat it back then. I ended up buying it from him, that system, and Phantasy Star. I
With
bought
you.
the system from him, and I played Phantasy Star online. I did play that online, and, man, that was a feeling that I'll never get back again either, you know?
Oh,
That
definitely,
was
definitely.
that was an amazing game. Did you ever play that online?
I did. Um, I played online on the private servers on the Dreamcast because I think I played it after it was dead, and then I also played it on the original Xbox. Um, and then speaking of old games, you were just talking about favorite titles. About a year or 2 ago, I sat down and tried to pick up, some games I always wanted to go through. I have a list of, my backlog, and I popped in Blue Stinger, and my disc is so old that it's one of the defective copies that came out with the first run when Sonic Adventure came out, and it doesn't work. So now I have to try and track down just a disc only of Blue Stinger to replace my defective one.
Huh, I never knew about that. Was it, it was an actual mint
Yeah,
manufacturing or just terrible
yeah.
quality and they rotted?
No, it's perfect condition. It doesn't have any scratches. I got it to work once, and then after that, it just wouldn't work. And I looked online, and they said the first runs of Sonic Adventure and Blue Stinger have some kind of errors on the disc where the discs wouldn't work anymore.
Oh, wow. Huh,
Yeah.
I never heard about that. That's
So if you ever come across a cheap Blue Stinger, hit me up.
yeah, I'll look that up for you, man. Not a problem.
I appreciate it.
But, shoot, I might even have a extra copy of that because I know I might have had a couple extra Dreamcasts laying around. I just have a box that I throw duplicates in, like, if I buy a bundle from somebody, I just throw I pick out my favorite duplicate out of the 2, and then I just, put that stuff in a box and figure one day I'll have a use to get rid of it somewhere, so I'll take a look, I'll take a look. I might actually have a disc of that, but,
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, I have everything
but
else. I just need a
anyways,
disc that works.
yeah, so I suppose, I don't know if I asked you, what is your favorite game? You're asking me what is your favorite game on the, um, Dreamcast, and then, you said that you started on the NES, so and
Wow.
we'll say Sega
Um,
CD and Dreamcast.
so on the NES, it's probably like River City Ransom. Um, on the Sega CD, I have a few, but I love Wirehead, Willie Beamish, Sewer Shark, Snatcher. Um, Trying to think what else. I thought Ground Zero Texas was really good, but it's definitely a little difficult. And then on the Dreamcast, for fighting, obviously like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Omicron, the Nomad Soul, Shenmue. Um, I have a few weird imports on the Dreamcast that I enjoy. Trying to think what else. Oh, Zombies Revenge is very fun. House of the Dead 2. So there's a lot of classics on the Dreamcast that I enjoy. Dynamite Cop, uh, was it 2? Was it Dynamite Cop 2?
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it
one,
was,
yeah.
Dynamite Deca or
Yes.
no, no, not what was that one called?
Yeah,
I have
Dynamite
it
there
too,
was
I
Dynamite Decca in Japan and Dynamite Cop, I think in, was that it? Dynamite Cop in America? Maybe.
yeah. But what was the sequel, though? You got me thinking about that now too.
Yeah,
There was a sequel.
that's a good question. I thought it was just
We
Dynamite
we
Cop
know
2.
we know what it is, we played it and seen it, but yeah, there's definitely a sequel. Um, and
Oh, so
I know I
Dynamite
have
Cop
it, dude.
Dynamite Cop is the sequel on Dream it's a sequel to Die Hard Arcade. So Dynamite Cop is the sequel.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, because you know what's interesting is I've recently got into those, PS2, Sega Ages 2600 games,
Mhm.
in which that's me looking kinda towards the future, maybe getting more into, like, the disc media of, gaming again versus, I've been buying all these cartridges for years and, some of the disc stuff, obviously, but more of this next gen disc stuff. And I've been collecting those, PS2 Sega Ages, and I got, Dynamite Deca coming.
Oh, nice. Yeah, those are fun.
S
I like those a
so
lot.
I'm really curious to see what they have packed on that disc, I haven't looked it up on YouTube, I'm sure somebody's done it, but, look at, like, the screen art and all that, and, I know they pack in a lot of extra settings and So I'm excited for that. I actually have a PSX that I've been getting serviced. I hope that gets done pretty soon. And I want to play on a PSX to make it more authentic.
Right, right.
You know, like
Yeah, there's
just to
something
think
about
that's
playing the original stuff that's good.
so. But anyways, Mike, you're awesome, man. Thank you for coming on here, dude. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, bro. I feel like we could talk forever, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we could do it again sometime possibly, and you could even lead off and come up with some good questions. I feel like you'd have a good mindset for setting us up for a good conversation. So, where can people find you at there, Vampire Mike?
So I'm SegaCDUniverse on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Awesome, awesome, man. And you can find me obviously here, Master C Welch, in which I'm just doing YouTube and Twitter. It's really good chatting with you, Mike, and I hope that we can do this again sometime. Yeah, I will keep watching, and I hope to see a new video soon.
Thank you.
So, anyways, everyone, have a good evening. We'll chat at you later.
Be good.